Greetings, you scruffy-headed nerd herders. Lots been going on. Callan, break us down. What are we talking about this week?
Tom Holland and his crew, they all teased different titles for the new Spider-Man movie. They started off by saying it was called Spider-Man Phone Home. Classic E.T. reference there. And then they shared some other ones like Home Slice and
Home Wrecker.
And then we came up with a few of our own. Home Alone. Macaulay Culkin comes out of acting retirement. Home Body, because COVID. Homeless, because Peter Parker's new step-uncle kicks him out of the house. Home Depot, our personal favorite, Home Improvement, where Peter Parker saves Tim Allen from Trumpism. So
I did like another one I saw online, which was Work From Home.
Ultimately, the title was revealed as No Way Home. Who knows what this title really means? I'm sure it's going to get into the multiverse thing with the rumors of other Spider-Man showing up, such as Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, along with other actors from those series, such as Kirsten Dunst and Dr. Octavius with Alfred Molina.
No Way Home. We were left off in Spider-Man Far From Home. Mysterio revealed his secret identity, so he's on the run. He's got nowhere left to go. I feel like it's going to be John Wick style, where everyone's coming after him. Maybe we'll see Kraven the Hunter. Maybe we'll see Kingpin come up, a bunch of different rogues that want Spider-Man's head. Seeing how much they've been teasing Doctor Strange and the multiverse and Wanda, I think he's going to have to find a different home, especially with the Sony and the Marvel acquisition that just happened, Disney. I think he's going to have to go to an alternate dimension, which is what was teased in Far From Home from Mysterio. He's going to have to find somewhere else to go, which is really fitting with Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. So I think that's kind of going to go with it. We've already seen that played before. So they're just going to stick him in another pocket dimension is my thought.
So are you saying that he's going to go to a different dimension to have some sort of normalcy in life, where his identity has not been ruined by Mr. J. Jonah Jameson?
The way that I see it, the best way for them to do that with Sony tearing off from Marvel and Disney would be for him to go into his own Sonyverse, and then the Spider-Man that would protect the Marvel Cinematic Universe would be Miles Morales, is what I think they're setting up, and I think would be pretty cool. Because at that point, too, they have a Spider-Man here, and then Tom Holland can go do his own stuff with Sony, Venom, all that stuff. So I think that's really what they're getting into.
Personally, I was kind of thinking the same thing. I mean, you're really getting into the weeds with the whole like Sony thing versus the Marvel thing with the rights. And I didn't think even that far ahead, but that makes total sense. If they actually want to do justice, not just to Spider-Man, but to the Venom movies that they're still making, like you've got to blend the two at some point, because you can't have one without the other, and vice versa. So I actually really like the direction that you're going. You get the best of both worlds that way.
That's pretty much what I was thinking too when I saw the title, that it's going to be everybody against him and all he's going to have are his friends and his aunt. He's going to have to face it on his own, or some people come and back him up, maybe Doctor Strange. And maybe that's when those Spider-Man cameos come in, like we see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield come swinging in. And maybe we get our live action film debut of Miles Morales coming in too. Who knows? That'd be awesome. I'm excited for it. When we will actually see it remains to be seen, because we know Marvel hasn't really been too friendly on releasing their movies at home. They're really pushing for that theater release, but we all know that shit's going to keep getting delayed. There's maybe 50 theaters open in the entire country, and nobody's going to them except for those that just don't care, I guess. JJ Abrams is apparently working on a new Superman movie. Whether he's directing it, writing it, or just producing it, nobody knows. But the big reveal is that they're looking to cast a black actor for a black Superman. Now, I understand in the comics there's a black Superman, and forgive me if I get the name wrong, but I think his name is Val-Zod, and he's like a different iteration of Superman. He's a Kryptonian. And of course, most of the response was pretty positive, and then most of it was negative. I think we can all imagine why it was negative. It was a bunch of triggered white male nerds who just can't grasp that we've had Superman as a white guy for 80 plus years. with the exception of the different iterations in the comics, but on film especially, he's been white. And in my opinion, it's long overdue that this is happening. And I'm looking forward to it. And these triggered white males need to realize that non-white males exist and they deserve representation, especially in superhero films. So whether it's this Val Zod, if it's Val Zod and that's a story we get, then great. That's something we haven't seen before. That's a new story. But even if it is Clark Kent, that's more than welcome because you can totally pull that off too. People just need to get the fuck over it. I would like to see a few people take this on. Obviously, the general consensus for a lot of people is Michael B. Jordan, which would be awesome.
Yup.
I would also like to see Daniel Kaluuya maybe pull it off. Jonathan Majors, he's the guy in Lovecraft Country.
Mhm.
And maybe even John Boyega.
Let me preface this by saying that I obviously do not have any sort of issue with a black Superman, but Man of Steel, in my opinion, was the best Superman movie that we have gotten. If I were to say who is Superman to you, I would say it's Henry Cavill right now. Like that guy, he plays a great Clark Kent, he plays a great Superman, and I feel like DC's done him dirty by not giving him his second Superman movie.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Mhm.
So I don't know how they do this. I don't know if they have two separate Supermen going because I still want Cavill to have his shot at getting that second Man of Steel movie. But at the same time, like I get why something like this is important. Like I feel like you do have to have minority representation in superhero movies. Like I think that's important, especially for those when when you're growing up, like you want to see yourself on screen.
Mhm.
As a white male, like I saw plenty of that growing up, but you can't say the same for anyone that's black or Hispanic or Asian. Like there aren't very many superhero role models to look up to. So I get why I feel like it should happen. Now, kind of what you were saying with that other character, maybe that's how they can tackle it, and you have both of them coexist.
Mhm.
I don't know how they handle the whole fact that Krypton blew up or whatnot, but like I don't know how they handle that aspect of it, but they can obviously figure out a way. Whatever they end up doing, I'm fine with it. It's just I feel bad for Cavill in a sense, just because I feel like he has done the best job out of anyone. I mean, I'm never going to say no to Michael B. Jordan. That dude is as we say, beefcake.
Beefcakes.
And he also he exudes that Superman aura to me. Like he's got that charisma, and he's just got I feel like the stature for it. Like I feel like he's a little bit taller. And he can really, I mean, we started seeing he can bulk up like he did for the Creed movies.
Alternate choices that I would also like to say. But at the same time, I kind of want these two guys to be Green Lantern. So if they were to be chosen as Green Lantern or Superman, I would be happy with either decision. But I think Sterling K. Brown would be a great Superman, but I think he would be a better Green Lantern.
Yeah.
And then also, I think little Denzel Washington, John David Washington, I think would be a great Superman or Green Lantern as well. So I'm hoping either of those guys to get cast in either of those roles. I think would be a perfect fit. But number one, I'm going to agree with you guys. Michael B. Jordan needs to be Superman. And as far as all those super nerd fans that are angry all the time about casting and stories, no one's stopping you from collecting all the money needed to buy the rights to these movies and then funding your own movie to direct and produce. Like you can do that instead of bitching and complaining all the time. Feel free. Like get a GoFundMe page, maybe get a second job or stop taking allowance from your parents or maybe ask for more allowance. I don't know. But you can always go out and fund it. Otherwise, quit bitching.
So speaking of representation in comic book films, DC announced earlier this week that they were making a Blue Beetle film. Blue Beetle debuted in 1939, so he's a pretty old character. But he was acquired by DC like in the mid 80s. So he's a fairly young DC property. It's been one of those things where it has different iterations, like different heroes taking the mantle. And the current iteration in the comics has a Latino as a hero. His name is Jaime Reyes. They announced they're developing that story of that character. It's going to be directed by Angel Manuel Soto. And production is supposed to start in the fall.
So I know Blue Beetle from the Injustice games, and basically he stumbles upon some ancient alien tech that morphs with his body, and it's basically like a Tony Stark suit, but it chooses you. So it's kind of like a combination between Tony Stark's tech and the Green Lantern ring. And the suit kind of has like a mind of its own, so it's like conflicting of what he wants to do and what the suit's telling him to do. It's a super suit with his own mind.
When it comes to who they get cast for this, the first actor that came to mind for me was Xolo Maridueña from Cobra Kai. He's an up-and-coming actor, and I think he would be perfect for it because in the comics I read that Jaime Reyes is pretty young. He's like in his early 20s.
Mhm.
I think that actor Xolo is around that same age in real life. Marvel announced that the Loki TV show for Disney Plus is premiering on June 11th. Falcon and Winter Soldier, that's probably going to run 10 episodes. So if it starts in March, it'll probably end like mid-May. So we'll have like a good couple of weeks in between. That seems to be the rhythm they're going with. So that's exciting. And apparently that's supposed to be kind of like a spy thriller type, which will be an interesting take. PlayStation had their State of Play, which is their version of a brief update showcase where they kind of update their customers and players on what's happening in the world of PlayStation. Not much, nothing significant was really announced. There was no updates on Horizon Forbidden West. There were no updates on God of War Ragnarok. This was definitely just an update of their quarter 1 release slate. Much like how Nintendo had their presentation last week on Nintendo Direct, PlayStation had their version with their State of Play. With State of Play, they kind of just give an update on what they're working on. This presentation primarily focused on their quarter 1 releases. They didn't give any updates on Horizon Forbidden West or God of War Ragnarok. Returnal, which is a Groundhog Day type of game set in space on a planet. It kind of reminds me of Prometheus. Once you die, the environment changes all the time, but there's still like a cohesive story going on. You're an assassin. PlayStation announced a game called Saifu, a 3D third-person action adventure game with martial arts combat mechanics. So basically, the best way I can describe this game is think of the hallway fight scenes in The Raid and Daredevil, the game. Then they gave an update on one of their exclusives coming out later this year called Kena and the Bridge of Spirits, which is like a Breath of the Wild type game. That's pretty much the major updates. So with this, I hope this means that maybe in a few weeks we'll get an Xbox version of one of these showcases.
Jesus.
WandaVision, episode 8.
Probably my favorite episode yet. Catherine Hahn plays a phenomenal villain. She plays the role of like the asshole so well. You just absolutely hate her guts because she comes off as like so warm-hearted, but like little lines that she throws in there, it's just like, damn, like I hate I hate you. Like you're just an asshole. She plays that character so well, making Wanda relive all these traumatic events of her life and to see what led her to grow in power. I was emotional throughout the whole episode. There was a lot to take in, especially when you see her and Vision sitting on the bed right after she lost Pietro. And I forgot what exactly the line was, but it sat with me. Got a lot of loose ends that they got to fix in the last episode. I think Marvel definitely has their work cut out for them, but you're going to force Wanda to kill Vision. What? Then you are setting her up to be this huge villain. How is she expected to be normal again after something like that?
The rumor is that they injected the Ultron tech into the White Vision.
I'm not going to 10 out of 10, but I will give it the highest score I've given it yet, just by a little bit, a 9.1 out of 10, just because you never know what they're going to do next week.
I really loved how this episode brought everything full circle. They connected the dots with the sitcom aspect of the show. They bonded through sitcoms, everything from Bewitched to Malcolm in the Middle. Genuine and organic way of explaining to the audience why she was creating her own little blip world. Even though this wasn't doing a parody on TV shows, it still kind of did with the whole Mr. Scrooge thing. with Catherine Hahn being kind of like the ghost of Christmas past, recognizing her demons through loss. We see Vision totally torn apart. Director Hayward's about to get the ass whooping of the life. Classic asshole. Speaking of people who play assholes really well, whoever that actor is that plays Hayward, so he's totally a typecast that's casted to play an asshole.
I thought it was really cool that they showed the Salem witch trials. We see that witches are real in this universe. Got my brain clicking to the introduction of Blade.
I've heard stuff about this. That. Yeah.
So we got witches and we got vampires coming soon. So I better see a goddamn werewolf pretty soon there. Vision is now the Frankenstein. Hulk is Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. This is all wrapped around the Mind Stone. White Vision, I thought that was crazy. That's awesome. In the Marvel comic books, there's a storyline where Vision dies. Hank Pym, aka Ant-Man, recreates his body, but he's not exactly the same. It's not going to be the Vision that we know. As far as Agatha, she was clearly the strongest witch until the Scarlet Witch came along, which I thought was awesome that they finally name dropped her. Scarlet Witch is a mantle, kind of like the Sorcerer Supreme. When we first get introduced to her basement, we see a very mysterious book down there. Doctor Strange, there is one that's not chained up, like the chains are loose, like it was missing. Her mother mentions dark magic. The only other time we've ever been discussed or heard about dark magic was Dormammu. I think this is Dormammu coming back for his revenge.
That's a lot to take in. Holy shit.
Not just blowing your guys' minds. A solid 9 out of 10. I'm excited to see where they go from here.
Same. Give us the Wu files, Marvel.
Yes.
Give us the Wu files.
Enter the Wu-Tang Clan. That was WandaVision. What did you guys think about this newest episode? What's your predictions for the season finale? What do you guys think this is going to lead off into in the MCU? Yeah, let's jump into the weekly recommends.
I watched Prisoners last night.
You finally did it? Oh, yeah. God, it's so good. Oh.
From Denis Villeneuve. Holy shit. I didn't breathe for 2.5 hours. To be quite honest, that's probably the best performance I've seen Hugh Jackman give. And looking back on his filmography, he's literally not really done anything except for Wolverine. Who boy, it was unreal. It was unreal. And the entire cast was great too. Jake Gyllenhaal, Paul Dano, etc. And Roger Deakins, all hail. Greatest cinematographer of all time. So if you haven't seen Prisoners, go watch it. It's on Hulu. It's a great crime thriller.
I'm going with a brand new release called Supernova with Colin Firth and Stanley Tucci. A slice of life movie where it's just, there's not a ton going on. Starting to get dementia and you're kind of like going on a road trip with them. It's a heartwarming yet unbelievably heartbreaking film. This is a good one. Supernova.
My weekly recommend is a HBO TV show that just came out maybe a couple months ago. But if you guys haven't caught it and you're really into sci-fi, if you're really into trippy stuff and some action, it's called Raised by Wolves, produced by Ridley Scott. So if you like Blade Runner, if you like Alien, if you like Prometheus, definitely this is the show for you. Trust me, every episode builds up where you're just like, what the fuck is going on? That's my recommend, y'all. Raised by Wolves on HBO Max.
Thank you all for joining us today. And don't forget to like and
subscribe.
Woo! There we go. Hell yeah.
High five.
Very nice. But yeah, guys, leave us some comments, likes, let us know what you think and what do you want to hear us talk about. The nerds have been heard. Court is adjourned.